like the notes that go with the agenda that we've got, and obviously we've got photographs as well that just shows us where that land is. So I open the floor to comments and questions or things.
Well,
Course of action.
Nice to see that they've been proactive. They've recognised it as an issue and they've identified a possible solution.
Yeah.
That's good.
My understanding is we're double checking who the land actually belongs to, because it could be part of our cemetery in terms of that actual bit, but it is actually just sort of like shrubland, so I think we are double checking that to just be 100% certain.
It does say that the land is 16 feet, I believe, is it somewhere, from the stone gate post? Yeah, 16 feet, a 16-foot front. But the boundary is actually, there is an opening between the end pillar of fairways and the stone gate post. So it would appear to be a bigger piece of land than 16. They're actually saying. Again, that will sort of show the row of houses, Fairview, is their boundary is in line with the boundary line of Fairy, because it was all one plot of land originally. Mr. and Mrs. Foxton own the house that's now been made into three. Built the garage in the 1950s. That would appear to have been looking at the brickwork, the brickwork underneath the fence is the same as the brickwork of the house.
So it's possible.
And the brick pillar is the same as the house, so it would appear that was put as a boundary at that time.
So it's possible that land might belong to Fairways?
No.
No.
It's possible that it
Belongs to the
is
cemetery.
part of that original field.
Where the cemetery now is.
Where the cemetery is, yeah.
I'm just going to bring Sarah in.
Can I suggest, I think see on here it's being suggested that there's no name on it is there, but the person who wrote the letter is happy to meet with somebody from the council at the site. So can I suggest that maybe the chair and vice chair meet up with the garage owner and just have a chat about, you know, if there's any more information, but also at the same time we find out whether that land does belong to the parish council and what they, because in all the time I've been in the parish council, I don't recall at any time the parish council selling any of its assets. So obviously there'll be rules about what we can do and how we have to do it. So can I suggest that at the same time that, you know, Gemma or another member of the staff finds out from, well, either whether it's from Wakefield Council or from land registry, what the rules are regarding, well, I imagine it would be Wakefield Council regarding parish council's obligations in selling assets, but land registry with regard to the boundary.
So I'll take that as a proposal. So it's for a site visit with the chair and vice chair of the full council with the his name's in there.
Gary's name is.
I'm not here, but it is. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. So with the owner, and also to double check with land registry as to make sure whose ownership of the land is, and checking what we can do as a parish council, making sure whatever option we finally decide upon, that those obligations are understood. Do I have a seconder for for that course of action.
Well, can I just say something before you do that?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
all
go
right?
on.
That-
I can hold.
I agree with all of that, but actually I would have thought that maybe rather than sell it, we could do something like a 25-year lease for them. So that, because it is, assuming it's our land, it's part of the cemetery, and if the cemetery fills up, it would be a few spaces,
Yeah.
potentially. So if we did a, say, 25-year lease, which is a fairly normal type of lease, term of lease,
Yeah.
that they could do the work he said about it, backfilling, wall backfilling, things like that, and have the use of it for that time, which I think financially would be justifiable in terms of the work, the cost of what they need to do. But we would maintain ownership, and maybe in 25 years we want to renew the lease, but that's somebody else's problem probably. But maybe just a way that we don't actually sell an asset, we maintain it, and get a bit of income.
So if we just amend your proposal to selling, leasing,
Just another
Yeah.
option to look
Yeah.
at, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I just thought maybe that'd be a better solution for the parish council
Yeah.
than actually selling.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Can I get a seconder to Sarah's proposal with Andy's add-on then, please? Okay. Nathan seconded, yeah. Okay, so are we clear about that proposal? Excellent. Any other comments on that, please? John?
Well, I think an initial visit is a good idea with maybe me and yourself, because I think it's a lot more complicated than just selling a piece of land. We have to have it valued, we'd have to have it, we'd have to make sure it's a legal document. It's going to cost us money to do all of that. It probably costs us more than the piece of land is worth. So I think maybe leasing it might be, for a rental, might be an option. But I think we need to gather more information. We need to see exactly what the proposal is before see what costs we would incur. We don't know if there are any services that run over that piece of land or anything like that. If there are services underneath it, sewers or anything like our water pipes, it's going to be a lot more complicated than just putting some concrete down and all those things. So I think that's the visit first. Accept the proposal as an initial visit to gather information and then work out the details.
It's only information gathering in terms of to have that to hand into. That's how I understood the proposal. I'll just bring you back in.
Sorry, just to add to that, I think it's fairly normal if there are legal costs to actually punish the person who's going to take it off. So that hopefully it wouldn't cost us, we'd say, you can do it,
Well,
you've got to cover the legal costs.
That's in normal
transactions.
transactions. I don't know about parish council selling land.
No,
because we've never done it.
But I would have thought if we were allowed to do that, that would be the way forward. So it doesn't actually cost us anything anyway.
Can I just sort of add, I'm
Yeah,
sure
of course.
that, that Jem's got it logged already, clocked already, but obviously it would be proper for a member of staff also to attend that meeting with yourselves and the garage owner.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll move to a vote then in terms of the proposal, in terms of information gathering, the initial visit, and looking at least some of the options that may come up later on, just so we've got that information ready should the decision come. So, take votes in favour then, please, of that proposal. Full house. Thank you very much, everyone.
Excuse me, Chair, I'm away. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Derek. Okay, so motions requested by councillors. Just to note, I'll come to these motions being submitted by Susie. So I'll come to Susie once we've read out the proposal, and then I'm just going to bring in comments from the clerk as well. Once Susie spoke, if that's okay. So I'll take 14.1 first, which is to receive a proposal from Councillor Sheriff that Ackworth Parish Council bank statements are supplied to the full council as part of the scheduled council meeting alongside the accounting records provided. Susie, I'll just come to you for comment, please.
So, in the council workbook for local government finance, it suggests that every elected member is responsible for making sure that the council is effectively governed. Because we deal with public money, and it's essential that there are well constructed and documented systems and procedures to ensure that the council not only acts as a good steward, but also exhibits values and culture required to foster good governance. And I've attended probably half a dozen trainings in 2023 since we started in May, 3 of them which are accounting or auditing or related to accounting record training for the parish council. And in the Good Councillor's Guide to Finance and Transparency, there's a long paragraph that has been copied into the notes here from Gemma, thank you, which says, the final few lines, the latest accounting records, including all payments for approval and any payments made since the last meeting, bank statements and a bank reconciliation, should be available at every council meeting and should be signed and certified as correct by the chair of the meeting. So, as I mentioned, all the trainings that I've been on in 2023 confirm each one of them that I asked, or it was mentioned, that bank statements should be part of the council audit trail. And I did speak to one of the tutors of one of the trainings about the audit trail, and he said that anyone, including a councillor, should be able to review a full audit trail, say for example for purchases from a proposal to a budget to a decision to the 3 quotes obtained for that item, the decision made on one supplier, the work done, the invoice from that supplier and the bookkeeping entries, and then the bank payments going through the bank statements. And we should be able to follow that process right the way through the audit trail. And similarly for income, where we've received monies, there's an invoice to the client if necessary. It's not a small transaction. Customer and bookkeeping entries, although having hired, the council rooms for work at times, then, that's a relatively small invoice, under £40, say, and I always receive an invoice. But the customer and bookkeeping entries are there with the bank receipts on the bank statements. So, as part of that audit trail, we should be able to see from one end to the other. And I would, if you don't mind, 14.2 suggest that it should be exactly the same. If I have been asked, I've been in the office to look at those records, the bank statements are a very important part of that set of transactions that follow the audit trail.
Is that? Yeah, thank you. Like I said, I'm going to bring in Clark. So I will just clarify as well. I'm going to take 14.1 as its own vote and 14.2 as its own vote. So it's going to be 2 votes on that. Gemma?
Yeah. Would you mind if I comment on both?
You can comment on both, yeah, if that's...
They do interlink, that's all, but I
Yeah,
understand
of
the votes
course.
on both.
I understand.
So, from an office point of view, so I'll speak from an office administration point of view, I don't see any issues with any councillors viewing any bank statements. That's what I'll say first of all. There's, transparency. You've all got a duty of care. If you've challenged or questioned or something, it's there for the audit trail, as Susie mentioned. In terms of the purpose in what you would be supplying the bank statements for, they would form. It depending on what the request is. For example, 14.1 is for this meeting. So in this meeting, we've just reviewed agenda item 8 as part of the financial areas, and we have software called Reatus, and the process on that is quite strict. So what my concerns would be, I suppose, is it would cause more confusion seeing a bank statement in this format, in this environment. And my reason being is the current process, for those of you that don't know, is we outsource part of our RFO, so our financial officer process. We outsource part of that, and that's around the inputting of the payments into the software itself, which is the reports that you receive from Realtor. So those reports, on a monthly basis, we drop the bank statement in pure form into a secure file. The company that we outsource that service to pick the report up, and they input all of the financial information into our financial software, and they add in the narrative that you see. So the reports that you see during this meeting are very comprehensive in this is what we've spent and this is what we've spent it on. If we've had bank statements into that pack as part of this meeting, like I said, if the council decide I've got no problems doing it just may cause some confusion because the bank statement doesn't include the narrative. And sometimes, as you may have noticed from your own personal transactions at home, companies trade in different names and things like that. So it might cause some confusion during the meeting itself. So if we did decide that that's the route forward for this particular council, I would urge that we would have to submit any financial queries in advance of this meeting so that myself and the team do have time to go away and answer any of the questions rather than during the meeting itself. In terms of the guide that I've popped in there from the Good Councillor's Guide, Finance and Transparency, I have popped all of that in there because it's important. It does cover all town and parish councils, and as Susie did rightly point out, I have also been in training that says it is good practice to have bank statements. From speaking to what I would refer to as colleagues, so other clerks, neighbouring town and parish councils, it varies depending on the council themselves, and in the main you do tend to have the bank statements for councils that don't have the financial software, and for the larger councils that do have the financial software, they do tend to present it in the same format that we present it in. So that would be my comment on 14.1. In terms of 14.2, I fully support that bank statements would be needed on that one, so if you want to bring me in separately on that vote, I'm more than happy to go through whatever would be required on that one. But yeah, they're just my views from the office that it would create more administration, which I'm happy to do, and it may cause more confusion during the meetings, trying to match the bank statement with the Realtor software that's uploaded by the third party.
Okay, thank you for that, because I think it's important information to have in terms of making an all-rounded decision. I'll just bring in other councillors then. Any other comments on John?
I mean, on 14.1, since we've already got realtors and we've already got a system whereby this is checked, if you like, and we're presented with the full statement at the Parish Council meeting, I think we're covered by that system. And my worries are that the time required from admin, the extra time required from admin to answer queries that might arise because of so-called anomalies in what's, the difference between the bank statements, as you've explained. I think that might, you've got enough things to do in the office without having to reinvent the wheel every 2 minutes. I can see while, on 14.2, while, we're on, I think that is absolutely right, because that's a one-to-one situation where you can explain everything as you go along, as the things are being checked, and I think that's understandable. But I think if we're going to open that up to, it's going to be confusing, I think, and we've already got a system in place that we pay for that deals with that.
Thank you. I'll bring Carolyn in and then yourself, Nathan. Could we try it?
Yeah, do it for 2 months, see if we gain anything from it, whether we aren't gaining anything from it, and then at a review date we'll review it to see if we actually think it's contributing anything. Because I don't know if it will or it won't, and I'll have to say it's not my favourite thing because I don't like looking at accounts. But that doesn't mean that perhaps we shouldn't. And we might find that, you're quite right, we really aren't gaining anything from it, in which case I would suggest that after 2 months we say, no, that's not.
Thank you. I'm just going to park that for the time being and take the comments, but I'll definitely be coming back to that. Nathan?
I just think there's, and I'm not passing any comment on the, what was it called,
Realtors,
I'm sure it's amazing, but there is at the minute a massive news story about financial software that wasn't meant to be, and actually, and I'm not saying we're going to look next meeting and say, oh my god, it's been robbing us blind for years, but it might just have that extra layer of, and as we might say after 2 or 3 meetings that this is confusing, let's go back to how we were doing it, but actually it is just an extra layer of us being responsible and checking up on the technology.
Yep,
I was going to say pretty
Oh,
much
right.
exactly the same
Okay.
thing, that, yeah, you know, it's that, we very well what Gemma said, and yeah, and I know from my own business that I get payments in nothing, who's paid me that?
Yeah.
Because it's not, the name on the bank is not who I've invoiced, but you tie it up, but I think given that we've got the Realtus, it's that second check,
Yeah.
as I say, that just make sure that, you know, it's not gone from 2,000 to 4,000 like it did in a post office sort of thing without something.
I'll bring Caroline back in.
I mean,
And
I'm,
also-
like Nathan, I'm very conscious of the horizon near
Yeah.
acceptance of software, but I do think if we do this, even as a trial, we have to agree with Gemma's request that we put these things in advance.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's not fair not to, and because also, if she's bothered to do the work, we should be bothered to do it in advance.
Yes.
To be fair, I thought we already had that one actually, didn't we? Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what people are saying, but I would have thought that the reason why we've delegated to Susie, the role of doing the internal checks was precisely to do this kind of work, and so it's one of those issues of having, confidence in the people, the councillors to whom we have delegated various roles. There may be a trial, might be, worth doing, but I think if we do go into a trial, we definitely seriously, properly review it against criteria. We don't just say, oh yeah, we like doing it, no, we don't like. We need to look at, does it actually add anything to our sum total of information, or does it cause confusion, add unacceptable admin time that doesn't